Peaches and Pirates. It was a very busy day on the island of New Florida, and the trains were being really useful on the tracks with their passengers, freight, and preschool products. Sam and Lauren were working early in the morning. They were being useful by getting their work done. It's almost here for the sun, said Sam. It really is, said Lauren. I have to join Dwee's train because Becky's having mechanical difficulties, so I have to fix her, said Sam. So she was uncoupled from Lauren and moved forward. And Lauren puffed with all her might. The train was long, but she carried on. Keep up the good work, Lauren, called Dwee. You're doing best, said Becky. Then Sam joined. Use all your horsepower, Dwee, she puffed, and the train moved off. Lauren arrived at New Winslow Station to pick up her passengers. But when she departed, there was trouble. What happened? Asked Lauren. Your fuel pump broke, said her driver. You need a new one. They backed the train up so everyone would get on the bus. I think your fuel pump got broken. Later that day, Elizabeth was shunting freight cars in the yard when some new engines were there. They were Ricky, Kira, Shanika, and Ginny. They buffered up to the train with Key in the rear. Here we go, said Dodie. Preschool train coming through. You can do it, Dodie, called Kimmy, and then the roomette inside was nice and cozy. And then Sam puffed alongside with Dodie, Kimmy, Ute, Ginny, Ricky, Kira, Shanika, and Key. This is the hardest work we've ever done with all the diapers and everything and the toys. We'll make it there safely, said Kimmy. We will, said Ute. And then you'll change the baby, boasted Sam. And that won't do any well. I don't think it will either, said Ginny. We have to get it done, said Kira. I can do it, said Ricky from up front. We can get this work done quickly, said Key. And then the long train turned the curve, with everyone waving as the train was being really useful. Those people are having a lot of fun, said Ricky. They are, said Shanika. And they were. Its pantograph was lowered. Dry clothes! wailed a freight car. We don't want to say that again. Their train was super extra long, but they carried on down the tracks. We're leaking! Wailed the wagons. Hot property! Called one of them. Free for the weekend! Said another. Robert the construction worker says, let's go churching, said another one. And then their train clattered down the tracks with all its horsepower. Dodie, Kimmy, Ute, Ginny, Ricky, Kira, Shanika, and Key pulled their long train along the tracks. It was really long, but they carried on. The passengers were waving to the entire train as it went by. They're just wonderful, said a guest who was watching the freight cars. But it was a busy time today. And the train was long. But Dodie and her friends carried on. The freight cars were full of everything. But Dodie and her trailing units didn't mind. And the roomettes and bedrooms were in the back of the train. And so was Coach. The brake van trailed along. And then the auto train came into view going from Sanford, Florida to Lorton, Virginia. It had a lot of locomotives controlling it. Then Dodie, Kimmy, Ute, Ginny, Ricky, Kira, Shanika, and Key rolled into the night. Good night, Sky! They all said at the same time. And they clattered down the tracks. And then the next morning, a school bus was filling in for Lauren, and it was having trouble crossing the tracks. But then it stopped, and the driver heard a train coming. Everyone off the bus, she shouted. Watch out, cried Dodie. We have to stop. Dodie's driver applied the brakes, but it was too late. Dodie and her friends were engulfed in a cloud of steam and lots of flames. "We're stuck!" called Dodie, Kimi, Ginny, Riki, Kira, and Shinika. But Key stayed on the tracks. She was unharmed. Fire rampaged non-stop. It was catastrophic, and Key tried to back up the train cars, but she wasn't strong enough due to the weight of the train. The flames were awful. Then Sasha came with the substitute train, because there were no buses available. But luckily, nobody was hurt, but the engines in front of Key were derailed. "We're stuck!" they moaned. Then Sasha backed her train up to Key, and Ida buffered up to the rear, and they set off. "Preschool train coming through," said Sasha, and she puffed with all her might. "Did you see the orange sun?" "Oh," she shouted. "It was a busy time today," said one of the passengers. "Good," said another, and then the passengers started to have their dinner in the dining car. And then they were making excellent time while Dodie and the other engines were being repaired. "This is the longest train I've ever handled," said Sasha. "You can do it, Sasha! Go on!" cried Key. The preschool railroad cars clattered through the station. As the load was intact, it was being really useful indeed. As the freight cars clattered through the station, it was a long train. Controlled by Sasha, but the engines carried on cheerfully down the tracks. The long train wasn't late at all. It was running a few minutes early. They clattered along the tracks with their load, and the giant train made it around the curvature, and nothing was amiss. Everything was right on schedule. Sasha, Key, and Ida made it to the station on time. The next day, Mr. Cakester was pleased. You did a good job with helping Sasha, she said. Thank you, sir, puffed Sasha. It was the best helpful day ever.